Sean Diddy Combs remains in custody and could be sentenced to more time in prison than expected. And here's why. Sean Diddy Combs and his legal team were victorious, being found not guilty of the two top charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. But he was found guilty on the lesser charge of transportation to engage in prostitution, two counts. However, he's still in jail. Yeah, he was remanded to custody. Due to his insignificant criminal history, myself, legal analysts, and lawyers, law professionals, yeah, we all thought he was gonna get out, but yeah, the joke was on us because he's still in there. Now there was some roadblocks put in Diddy's way, and that's why he's still in custody.
This morning, Sean Diddy Combs acquitted of the most serious charges he faced in federal criminal court: racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking.
Today's a great victory. It's a great victory for Sean Combs.
But the music mogul will remain behind bars until his sentencing, after the judge denied bail, saying that the defense did not prove Combs is not a danger to the public.
I want everyone to know the job is not done yet.
Now, Gloria Allred, who is an attorney and human rights activist, voiced her concern about the release of Diddy. She was afraid that there would be genuine safety issues connected with the victims and with people who spoke out against them. Basically, to make a long story short, she felt he needed to keep his butt in jail. Another person that wanted Diddy to stay behind bars was Dante Nash. Dante Nash was the stylist that worked for Diddy and Cassie. He actually, during his tenure, witnessed a lot of violence against Cassie at the hands of Diddy. He was even involved in one incident when Diddy stormed into Cassie's apartment, dragged her out of the bathroom, and began to beat her. Nash and Mia, another witness in the case, jumped on Combs' back and tried to wrestle him and stop him from beating Cassie. But, he just was a wild man at the time, thought he was in the WWF and just was slanging them everywhere like they were in a wrestling match. He beat Cassie that day really badly, knocking her into her bed. She had a very sharp headboard and she ended up cutting herself right above her eyebrow. It was a terrible injury and it was a gash to her head that just bled profusely. Blood was everywhere. He is now afraid that Diddy is going to get out and Diddy may hurt him. He's afraid of retaliation. You have to keep in mind that Dante testified against him, sat right on the stand, looked in Diddy's beady demon eyes, and accounted all of the violence that he saw. Now, a witness that I would have definitely been interested to hear testify was his private chef, Jordan Ackerson. She was subpoenaed and she was on the prosecution's list as a witness, and she was supposed to testify in his grand jury in April 2024. Neither happened. And according to her, it's because she flipped out on the government. Now, she's going to elaborate a little bit more, and we'll hear from her in her own words. However, she did say that Diddy's legal team tried to intimidate her as a witness. She was afraid of retaliation, and she wrote Judge Setmarani a letter to keep Diddy's butt behind bars. Now, this is a small portion of her letter to the judge. To release Mr. Combs without substantial consequence would undermine the integrity of this process and send a dangerous message that wealth and influence could shield someone indefinitely from accountability. It will also endanger those who cooperated with the investigation under subpoena, who are already living in fear of retaliation. And like I said just a second ago, she said that Diddy's legal team tried to intimidate her as a witness.
As one of the actual minor victims to Sean Combs' physical assault while I was employed by him. As someone who was a witness to the abuse towards Cassandra Ventura Fine during my time of working for Sean Combs, I would just like to say that this is a grave miscarriage of justice. And I would like to also address that last year on March 20th, I was contacted by the federal government. They showed up at my door with badges. I refused to speak to them because I was terrified. So I was served with a grand jury subpoena that day before they left my home in Atlanta, Georgia. I confided in 3 different people about that visit from the feds. Terrified is actually an understatement. By April 11th of 2024, I was being contacted by Sean Combs' initial lawyer, Aaron Dyer. I have a voicemail that he left and text messages stating that Mr. Combs was aware of the visit from the government and that they would like to extend to cover my legal fees. These are facts. This, in my opinion, was witness tampering. I was supposed to testify this year on May 20th. I was in New York. It was announced. It was on CNN that I was supposed to be testifying, and I was pulled because I flipped out on the government. These are also facts. I want to be very clear. As a victim, as a former employee of Sean Combs, I do not feel safe. I am extremely traumatized. I do not know where to go from here. I did submit my own letter to the judge. I stand by everything that I said. I knew that he beat Cassie Ventura Fine in 2009. I know that she was dragged from the vehicle, okay? I know that I saw her 2 days later at the London hotel when me and one of his assistants brought her a bag, okay? This was a miscarriage of justice. And beyond any of this, I don't really have anything more to say, and I really don't know where to go from here. Just know that I am terrified and I am traumatized.
Now, the second biggest opponent of Diddy getting out is Cassie Ventura Fine herself. Her lawyer, Douglas Wigder, asked the judge to deny Sean Diddy Combs' release. In a written letter to Judge Setmaranian, Wigner shared Cassie's concerns centering around her safety. She felt that Combs could pose a threat to her and her family. Ventura was the star witness in Combs' criminal federal case. She testified to years of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse and controlling mechanisms by the fallen, disgraced mogul. Wigner spoke of Ventura's heroic stance in telling her story and standing against Combs. Cassie has left an undeniable mark in the entertainment industry in her fight for justice, according to the attorney. And we're going to see how he felt about the verdict.
Of course, we would have liked to have seen a conviction on the sex crimes in RICO, but we understand beyond a reasonable doubt is a high standard, and we're just pleased that he still faces substantial jail time.
And the biggest reason why Diddy is still behind bars is Judge Setmaranian himself. The judge determined that Combs had a history of violence that justified him staying locked up. He noted the vicious beating that Combs put on Ventura at that LA hotel. He cited that. And he also said, defense, you own the violence and you didn't prove that he could be trusted if we let him out. So, nah, he's staying locked up. Also, under mandatory detention under federal law, it is the law that what he was convicted of, the charges, that he is well within his rights to keep him detained. And he did. Also, the judge stated that Combs has a disregard for the rule of law and a propensity for violence. And yes, he does. That's been proven. Also, he added evidence of him giving Jane a beating in June of 2024 when he knew he was under federal investigation. So Judge Seth Maranian is probably saying to himself, okay, well, if you beat her up and you knew the feds were investigating you, you don't care about being convicted of the two lesser charges. You already beat the RICO and the trafficking. So you feeling a little invincible. Yeah, you need to go back to jail. Also, he cited Combs' willingness to skirt around BOP rules and centering around jail communications. That raised concern if he let him out. He was already tampering with witnesses when he was locked up. Just imagine if Judge Setmaranian released him, the damage that he could do, the intimidation of the witnesses and the tampering. So he said, no, you won't get a chance to do that. Now, Judge Setmaranian set sentencing for October the 3rd, 2025. But the defense wants to move it up because, they want to just get this over with. They don't want Diddy to hang on and it to linger. They're so willing to get this moved up that they're willing to waive the PSI report. But the prosecution said, no, we want that report because we want to try to get as much time against the diddler as possible. Okay. You have the defense, they're looking for between 27 months. And then you've got the prosecution, they want anywhere from between 51 and 63 months. So definitely a little longer term. That's what the prosecution wants. So with reading the room, we really don't know how this is going to go. And my mind is kind of changing about sentencing.
And I've seen this happen so many times. I'm always shocked when I see a defense put forth a proposal and the prosecutor put forth a proposal and a judge who comes in and goes up and above all of them. So this is my big guessing game in the parlor game that we're playing, is that Judge Subramanian listened to all of that testimony that I went through for the last 7 weeks, vomiting in my mouth every single day, because there was a lot of horrible facts that were not contested by this defendant. And there are 3 victims who have put forth fulsome letters begging this judge not to let Diddy out. I think
I'll leave you with this, good people. I don't think Judge Setmaranian likes Diddy. The judge has conducted the trial with fairness and he never displayed any bias. However, he listened to all that evidence. He saw the videos. He saw how Diddy conducted himself in court, shaking his head, nodding his head over at the jury. Also, the allegations with tampering with witnesses. Like I said, that was one of the reasons why he kept his butt locked up. I would say this is going to be interesting. This is going to be a very interesting outcome that maybe none of us saw. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button and please subscribe. It's free 99, y'all, and it really helps the channel. That way you won't miss any of the upcoming uploads, and I have a lot in store for you guys. I have some profiles that I'm going to be doing coming up, and I don't want you guys to miss it. So please subscribe, please like. Thanks again. Take care of yourself and each other.